Hi everyone, my name is Eve and welcome to my channel. So I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but I'm back with a new Crafty Crimes video. But before we begin, I thought I would bring you a big update in case you haven't followed my Instagram since I last filmed. And that update is that we have a new family member. Let me see if she wants to come over. Nofi. So this is Nofi, and to prove to you guys that she's actually second one. Daddy, come. Here is the other one. Oh no, this is not going well. This was a mistake. This was a mistake. I know. So yes, we do have two puppas now. So you might hear a little bit more noise in the background. But yeah, we've got two puppas that are now doing our quality control check. And oh dear, not my ear. Ooh. And she's a new member of the family since I believe 2 months. So instead of just one dog, you might be able to see two dogs walking around in the background. And also instead of just one puppy looking at me during filming, I've now got two that are playing and making it very difficult to get a good recording. And now on to what we're making today. Today we are making a ghost, still a little bit into the Halloween vibes. I like to call them ghosties, and it's a free ghost pattern by Bear Knots on Instagram. I'll link the pattern in the description below, of course. And I am using LindeHobby's Velvet Luxe yarn. Now that we've discussed what we're going to make today, it's time to get criminally crafty and get on with our case of today. During the fall in 1986, the Bowen family started to experience some very strange things happening within their home. Objects kept being moved, and the teenage daughters found strange messages written on the bathroom mirrors. Food was being consumed from the fridge, and they even eventually found a family photo pinned to the wall by a knife. Father of the family, Frank Bowen, actually thought his teenage daughters were playing a prank on him after seeing a horror movie. But nothing could have prepared him for the fact that he would soon realize that another teenager was living inside the walls of his home and would soon become a murderer. And so today we are talking about one of the creepiest cases I've ever read, and that's the case of Daniel LaPlante. So Daniel LaPlante was born on May 15th in 1970 in Townsend, Massachusetts. There he lived with his mother and stepfather, and as well his two brothers. LaPlante allegedly suffered from physical and sexual abuse at the hands of his father, as well as his stepfather, and later on as a teen from his psychiatrist. LaPlante started struggling at school and was diagnosed with dyslexia at an early age, and his classmates described him as weird and creepy. They said that he would come to school with dirty clothes and would smell really bad. As a teenager, LaPlante was referred to a psychiatrist who diagnosed him with hyperactivity disorder due to his abnormal behavior as well as his appearance and lack of hygiene. Unfortunately, this was the same psychiatrist that was accused of sexually abusing Daniel, and this allegedly went on for a whole year. And unsurprisingly, Daniel left his sessions and ended his therapy a lot worse mentally than he was in the beginning. LaPlante's environment was actually no less chaotic because his family home was surrounded by a massive junk and lots of old cars. By the 1980s, a neighbour had grown concerned over LaPlante's many solo excursions into the woods behind his home. According to the Boston Globe, you would see him walk out there by himself. That's the only place you would see him, the woods. It became known quite early on that his motivation for breaking into people's homes was not just the valuables, but actually the rush that it gave him to take little things and displace them around the house to make people confused. LaPlante started rooting into people's belongings, and he started moving items around like objects and furniture. But he also left items out like half-drunk beverages, and it gave him a lot of pleasure knowing that he was scaring the people that lived in the homes he broke into, even making them think that they were going mad. In 1986, he started to take his home invasion to the next level. When he was 16, LaPlante actually got the phone number of a girl in the area that he had become quite obsessed with, and that girl was Tina Bowen. Now, I did see a couple of articles with a different family name. Instead of Bowen, it was Andrew, and I don't really know why, but since most of the articles said the family name Bowen, I'll be going with that family name. So Tina lived together with her younger sister Karen Bowen and their father Frank Bowen. Unfortunately, they had recently lost their mother due to cancer and were still actively grieving her. LaPlante started calling their home number and talking to the girls, especially to Tina, and he had said that he had gotten their number from a friend and that he went to the same school as they did. LaPlante had also started lying about being good-looking, athletic, blonde and a well-educated boy, and lived in the same area as them. And although he did live in the same area as them, as you will see from the photos, he lied about everything else. And after Tina and LaPlante had become acquainted after a couple of phone calls, they agreed to go on a date together. However, when LaPlante arrived for their date, Tina got upset, which is understandable, seeing as he did not look anything like how he had described himself. Instead of being the good-looking jock like he had said, he was a disheveled-looking greasy boy with dark hair, and he had no attractive features according to Tina. Tina did let LaPlante take her on a date to the local fair just to be kind and be polite, to which I say, if you have a bad feeling about someone, fuck politeness, leave and protect yourself. However, when you're a teenage girl, of course, it is very difficult to say no. It was during this date that LaPlante had learned a lot about the family. He learned about the family losing their mother due to cancer recently, leaving their father as the sole caretaker. Daniel asked a lot of questions, and Tina later claimed that it seemed as though LaPlante was obsessed with the death of her mother, continually questioning her on how she felt at the moment she died and how much she suffered. After an hour on the date, Tina asked LaPlante to return her home. After this, Tina decided that she no longer wanted to date LaPlante, but unfortunately this would not be the last time that she would ever see him. Later on, Tina and her younger sister Karen actually decided to hold a seance one evening after watching a movie about it, in the hopes of connecting with their deceased mother. And to their surprise, the girls actually started hearing sounds like knocking on the walls and other kinds of sounds. However, when the knocking continued for several weeks, the girls actually started to think that the house might be haunted instead. Objects started to be misplaced and moved around the house, the knocking would be all over the walls, and the TV channels were changing when they weren't looking, as well as food going missing from the fridge without the family eating it themselves. Things even became more sinister when messages were appearing on walls and on mirrors, like in the bathroom, saying stuff like, "Marry me and I'm in your room, come and find me." And like I had said before, the family even found a photo of themselves pinned to the wall with a knife. At first, Frank Bowen thought that his daughters were messing with him and themselves and did not believe that they were actually scared and thought the house was haunted. However, soon he would find out what was actually happening in their home. On December 8th, 1986, the Bowens had returned home to find that their toilet had been used without being flushed. This prompted Frank to start looking around the house, and eventually he found LaPlante in his bedroom. LaPlante stood in Frank's bedroom wearing clothes of his deceased wife, wearing her makeup, a dress and even a blonde wig. In one of his hands was a hatchet. LaPlante had somehow hustled the family into the bedroom before disappearing somewhere in the house. Tina had managed to escape from the window and contacted the police. When the police arrived, they found that LaPlante had disappeared without a trace, which scared the family and made them leave to go stay at a hotel for their own safety. Then, on December 10th, Frank returned to the home to retrieve belongings. He spotted a man in the window as he approached to the door and saw that a menacing message had been left for the Bowens. A knife was sticking out of the wall through a family photo with a marker written on it saying, "I'm still here, come find me." Like, if you see this in a horror movie, you would think no one could make this stuff up, but unfortunately, this was the reality for the Bowen family. Further on in the house, there was another photo with a knife in it found with the message saying, "I'm going to kill you all." The police then found LaPlante hiding within the walls of the house, and he was arrested and brought to a juvenile facility until October 1987, when he was bailed out by his mother. After his arrest, the police found a triangular space within the house within an inner wall, which is where LaPlante had clearly been living for at least a couple of weeks, if not months. It became clear that LaPlante had found a way to move within the inner walls of the house and even the crawl space, and that was how he was moving around the house to torment the Bowen family. And after he was bailed out by his mother, and after all of the tormenting that he had done to the Bowen family, LaPlante was still not done, and he was getting ready to actually commit his worst crime yet. While awaiting his trial, LaPlante had actually moved homes, and there he continued his daytime burglary spree. On October 14th, 1987, he stole two .22 caliber handguns from a neighbouring house. On November 16th, 1987, LaPlante burglarized the home of the Gustafson family, which included pregnant nursery school teacher Priscilla Gustafson, her husband Andrew, and their two children, 5-year-old William and 7-year-old Abigail. He stole multiple items from the home, including a cordless phone and a cable box, according to court documents. But this wouldn't be the last time that LaPlante would be breaking into the Gustafsons' home. On the 1st of December 1987, LaPlante walked through the woods that was between his house and the Gustafsons' house, armed with the .22 caliber handgun. Priscilla Gustafson had been seen picking up her child William from the babysitter around 1 p.m. She then returned home, which is where LaPlante had broken in for a second time. LaPlante later claimed that he had not expected for Priscilla and her children to come home. LaPlante told investigators that normally when he heard people return home when he was still in their home, he would usually decide to just leave and return another time. However, this time he did not. Instead, LaPlante tied Priscilla to the bed in the master bedroom and locked her son William in the closet. He then proceeded to rape her before shooting her twice in the head with the stolen gun from the neighbour. After having murdered Priscilla, he then took her son William to the bathtub where he drowned him. LaPlante then decided to go home, but that was the moment that Abigail returned home from school. LaPlante then decided to drown Abigail in the downstairs bathtub, and Abigail died from drowning but also had suffered multiple blunt force trauma. Then LaPlante just went home and attended his niece's birthday that evening. Meanwhile, Andrew Gustafson had been trying to reach his wife all day and was kind of fearing the worst when he returned to his home eerily quiet with no lights on at 5:30 p.m. When Gustafson first entered his home, he found his wife laying dead face down on their bed. He immediately fled their home and called the police. He told the Los Angeles Times in 1990, "I was too afraid of going to look for my children because I was afraid I would find them dead. It was the police who found the two children drowned in the bathrooms." According to court records, LaPlante was easily implicated on the scene due to using forensic evidence. The police even found the shirt and gloves that he was wearing when he drowned the children in the bathtub in the woods behind the Gustafson house, still wet. With the scent of the shirt, the dogs tracked through the woods within 3 to 4 feet of LaPlante's home. The evening after the Gustafsons' murder, LaPlante was interrogated. Lacking enough evidence to arrest him there, police planned to return the following day, but LaPlante fled and a massive manhunt ensued. After another burglary spree in Pepperell, LaPlante was found hiding in a dumpster and arrested on the evening of December 3rd, 1987. Following the arrest of LaPlante, Frank Bowen expressed anger at the fact that the teenager was released in the first place. He told the Lowell Sun, and I quote, "If Daniel LaPlante does not get convicted and gets out again, I will personally kill him." As Frank had explained to the paper, he and his daughter had kept living in fear of LaPlante and even actually vacated their home after everything had happened. And here's another quote from Frank, "You can't imagine what kind of fear we have been living in. He is mentally insane. There's no question about it," Frank said, adding, "And now I am financially broke and emotionally disturbed and trying to put my life together again." LaPlante went on trial for the Gustafson's murder in October 1988 and the jury found him guilty of murder. He was then sentenced to 3 life sentences. Though in 2017, LaPlante applied for a reduced sentence, and during his resentencing phase, LaPlante apologized for his actions and asked for a second chance. LaPlante said, and I quote, "Words cannot fully capture what I have done. I murdered 3 innocent people. Because of me, a 5-year-old boy will never turn 6. There is a 7-year-old girl that will never turn 8. Because of me, a woman will never be able to give birth to her 3rd child. I robbed an unborn child of his first breath. A husband was never able again to hear from his family, 'I love you.' I do not have the words to fully express my profound sorrow, but I am truly sorry for the harm that I have caused. From the very essence of who I am, from the depth of my soul, I am sorry." The judge, however, affirmed LaPlante's sentence of 3 consecutive terms of life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 45 years, after a forensic psychiatrist evaluated LaPlante and found that he was not remorseful for his crimes. LaPlante, who is now 54, is currently held at MCI Norfolk and will not be eligible for parole until 2033. So that concludes my creepiest case ever and thus my crafting. I quickly added some blush off camera and now this ghostie is done. I might have slightly overstuffed him a little, but who doesn't love a chunky little ghost? So I think it's okay. He can be chunky, he's allowed, we still love him. So if you want to make your own ghostie with the free pattern by Bare Knots, it will be in the description. And I hope you enjoyed this video almost as much as I enjoyed making it. And be sure to subscribe. If you want, you can like the video, it would be very nice of you. And that's that. So I wish you guys all a very good day and see you next time. And until then, happy crafting. Bye bye. Excuse me, ma'am. What do you have to say for yourself? What do you want? Yeah, no, I don't think so. You're being very rude. That's rude.